Welcome to the Boxing Talk Show. Fair but firm with the Hall of Fame boxing referee. I'm Joe Cortez and co-host John Zemel for all of Las Vegas. Come on, guys. Let's touch them up. 3 fight. I'm Joe Cortez. Fair but firm.
Good morning, my dear friends. Actually, good afternoon. We changed our time show from 11:30 to 1:30 today because of the football games are going on out there. Anyway, John, we want to welcome our listeners and viewers and talk about boxing. We're going to be talking about some of the up-and-coming fights. Fans, you know, this season, the fall is going to be one of the busiest that we've had in years because of all these different Eddie Hearns bringing on boxing.
Oh my God!
ESPN, HBO, Showtime, they're all coming in together with big fights. So we're going to be listening and watching some of the great fights.
I couldn't agree more.
But coming up real soon, another 2 weeks, we have the Triple G Canelo Alvarez fight.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about that fight every show we're on now until then.
It's the fight of the year.
Yeah, probably the fight of the year. And a lot of fans are looking forward to watching this fight because they want to make sure
it's a grudge match, baby. Let's get it all. Let's figure it out once and for all.
Yeah,
you know?
we want to get a true winner this time.
I'm tired of these question marks. Let's figure out who the best middleweight of this era is.
Exactly. Now, you know, Canelo Alvarez was welterweight, super welterweight, 154. Now he went up to 160. Mm-hmm. And I think that was always been his
natural weight.
Well, natural weight, yeah, but then try to go up in middleweight against Triple G. Yeah, Triple G.
Who was a born middleweight.
Yeah, he was born middleweight.
He came out of the womb middleweight.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to fight a fighter who's been constantly at that level, undefeated.
Running that division for as long as he has.
You know, undefeated, but with that one draw that kind of tarnishes his record.
Maybe.
But a lot of fans felt that...
But if he comes out and wins this one, right?
A lot of fans felt that he won the first fight. If he wins this one, we have to really show it, really prove that he's really no question marks. The best way to no question mark is a KO.
That's what I keep thinking. I can't get this out of my head, Joe. Tell me. I've been thinking about this all week. So, you know, whether it's good or bad for boxing is a different conversation. But at the end of the day, I don't think Triple G or his team trusts the judging process. I don't think they trust letting it go to the cards. Not so much that they think it was corruption, but they don't want to leave it in the judge's hands again, right? So with that being said, how do you keep it from being in the judge's hands? You go all out. You try your best to knock the other guy out, which means sometimes you take risks and sometimes you leave yourself open for the kind of counter punches that Canelo's famous for. I think we're going to see a knockout in this fight, one way or the other, and I think that's the biggest reason for it.
I think that's going to be one of the main attractions for this fight is that the fans, I think they all feel they're going to be a knockout.
Yeah.
Because Triple G wants to make sure he puts this guy away to avoid any controversy, and Canelo has a lot to prove. Because not only because of that draw he had last year, but also because of
he lost some fans for the drug test.
The drug test that he had, a lot of fans got turned off to that, even though he said it was like clenbuterol that was in his system, meat contamination. So that can be, something that a question mark on that as well. And I guarantee you, if he beats Triple G, or even if he knocks him out, the fans are going to say, oh, you know what? You got to check him out for that drug. Maybe he was on drugs again.
Yeah, some of them. But at the same time, I think boxing fans forget about that a lot more than we give them credit for when we think about this.
Yeah.
I mean, we go back. No one talks about Roy Jones Jr.'s failed drug test. Nobody talks about Tyson Fury's failed drug test for the most part. For the most part, when you go back and look at the long list of champions who have failed drug tests, we look at their wins and losses at the end of the day more than anything else. And, there's some things that are just unforgivable, like when you go back and look at like Margarito's hand wraps and stuff like that. But when it comes to failed drug tests, for the most part, it's not the first thing we bring up when we mention Shane Mosley. It's not the first thing that we bring up when we mention Bernard Hopkins. It's not the first thing we mention with a lot of these guys.
Right.
And so I think if Canelo can come out and put his stamp on this fight, show that he is the greatest. I mean, because really, there's nobody else in middleweight that's touching either of these guys. And I love the middleweight division right now, especially with the undercards. But I think that he can come out and put his stamp on it, then we'll really be able to see, I think that's what people will remember more than anything.
Yeah, now you talk about the hand wrap situation.
Oh, yeah. Explain that.
Well, there's let's go back. There was a little issue about Canelo and Triple G now with the gloves, which kind of gloves we're going to wear for this event. Canelo wanted to wear some gloves that were just recently made by one of his family members. And anyway,
this happens pretty often, right? I remember this being a thing in the Maidana-Mayweather fight.
Yeah, but what happens is that there's a lot of changes now. Now you can wear bring your own custom gloves, custom-made gloves, and which I'm not a fan of these bringing in your own gloves. Back in the old days,
seems like it lets some gray area in. Which
yeah, it does. So
you don't want in boxing.
Exactly. Plus, I remember way back in the days, maybe back in the 70s, there was a fighter by the name of Billy Collins Jr. His father was Billy Collins Sr., who was a decent welterweight, middleweight back in the 60s. But when his son was fighting, he fought a fighter by the name of Luis Resto, a Puerto Rican fighter out of New York. And Irish Billy Collins was a decent fighter. But Luis Resto had a trainer by the name of Panama Lewis.
Yeah.
And Panama Lewis was a kind of guy that very, very, how can I say, he did something very illegal, and it was about when they're putting the gloves in the dressing room for Luis Resto, Panama Lewis thought it was a brilliant idea to remove the horsehair inside the glove. He cut the glove inside, removed the horsehair.
You got rid of the padding?
He got rid of the padding. So now this fighter, Luis Resto, is fighting almost just only with the hand wraps, only the leather of the glove.
Oh, no.
So for 10 rounds, he was beating the crap out of Billy Collins. I mean, he was just beating him to a pulp for 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And the fight was over. Billy Collins was all discombobulated.
Of course he was.
His face was all so what happened was that his father, went over to shake their hand, a gentleman-like, good sportsman-like, at the end of the fight, in the middle of the ring, in Madison Square Garden. Tony Perez was the referee of that fight. And when he went to shake his hand, he shook his hand and said, "Oh, wait, hey, you got nothing inside that glove." So he ran to the commission, ran to the ring, and they got him, and they confiscated the glove, and they saw, he had removed the horsehair from inside. And
that's dangerous, man. That's crazy dangerous.
Yeah. And they took Panama Lewis, this guy, and they got arrested.
That's what I was wondering. It was that criminal, because it should be.
It was a criminal charge, offense against him. And they ended up, Panama Lewis ended up going to jail. They got suspended. I think Luis Resto never fought again after that because of his wrongdoing. And
did the other guy ever fight again after he got beat the hell out of him?
Well, what happened was that he was so depressed and whatnot. He got into drinking, and he was really down and out, and he just ended up.
It's a story we hear too often.
He had a car accident and ended up getting killed.
Oh, God.
Up in I believe he was from Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
By the way, I love when you go into encyclopedia mode, what we call memory lane. It's always so much fun. Let me tell you guys, one thing I've learned since I've been doing this show is anything you think you've heard or you think that's new in boxing, all you got to do is ask Joe Cortez about it, and it's happened about 11 times, and he knows everybody's name and the referee who was involved in that. And I think that's just the coolest thing, being able to talk about just because anything like there's a historical precedent for just about anything that we see, and that's one thing I love about it. You know what I mean? It makes it fun.
Well, talk about memory lane. You want to go down memory lane a little bit. We talk about some of the fights.
Well, yeah, actually, we were talking before the show. I was asking you. I was online and I was reading some stuff about the Tyson Holmes fight and what a build-up that was. And I, of course, like most fights that I read about, I come to the part where it says referee, and I see my old friend Joe Cortez in the referee section, and I've been wanting to ask you about that. And there's no better time than on the air. What do you remember about reffing Mike Tyson versus Larry Holmes? Because that was a really big heavyweight matchup at the time.
Well, a lot of things happened that night. And I stopped and think back and look and say, wow, that person was there, that person was there, Muhammad Ali was there.
Yeah, he had a pretty kind of interesting role in the fight, right?
Well, he came into he had been sparring with Larry Holmes, and Larry Holmes and him have fought. And the thing was that Larry Holmes always had a lot of smack about Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali, when he got introduced into the ring, he came in with his black shades on. He's already with his Parkinson's disease syndrome. He was kind of slow, but he walked into the ring, and when they introduced him, I remember I raised his hand up in the air to the cheers of the crowd.
Of course.
Ali.
He's the greatest.
Yeah, and then I saw Ali goes over to shake Larry Holmes' hand, and he go over to Mike Tyson, and he whispers something in his ear as I'm looking, and I'm saying to myself, I don't know what the heck he's telling Mike. I may tell him good luck or something. After the fight, I did ask Mike Tyson, hey, by the way, what did Ali tell you in your ear? He said he told me to kick his butt.
And going back, there was a story where we all remember when Larry Holmes beat Muhammad Ali, correct? And it was a much older Muhammad Ali, and he didn't want to take the fight, and he ended up taking it, and he beat him. he beat him pretty bad. Didn't make Ali look good at the end of it. And then so when Tyson ended up beating him, it was the story. This is for Ali, right?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you that little. I'm gonna give you an answer on that, but first let's go into a brief commercial.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, and then we'll come right back. All right. Okay, welcome back again. So the question was about.
Yeah, I was asking about when Larry Holmes fought Muhammad Ali in the fight before, which of course tied into the Larry Holmes versus Mike Tyson fight. And what happened it was called the Last Hurrah, which was what it was billed. I think it was 1980 when Muhammad Ali went in, and much older Muhammad Ali went in to fight Larry Holmes. And I think you remember. Do you remember what happened then?
Well, I think it was a sad night because Holmes, he really didn't want to hurt Ali.
Exactly.
And Ali was, towards the tail end of his career, and a lot of people kind of got turned off to Larry Holmes because Ali's, is a hero. Everybody loved Ali.
Exactly.
But anyway, when Ali went to Mike Tyson and told him something in his ear.
Yeah.
Anyway, what happened was that night then, Holmes came out there dancing around, jabbing, moving around, like trying to do like a Muhammad Ali type of a guy, dancing around until Mike Tyson started putting that pressure. He started nailing him with some shots. Bang, bang. I said, whoa, he was really tagging Larry Holmes.
Of course.
And Larry Holmes couldn't really get off on Tyson. Tyson was moving, constantly moving. But in the, I believe it was the fourth round, Tyson had him really going, and hit him with a right hand. Holmes went down. As soon as he went down, being he was already hurt, I decided I'm not even going to bother to count because he was already wobbly for about over 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
In that last round that he fought Tyson. But Tyson was devastating, but of course, Tyson,
he's a whirlwind. Baddest man on the planet. That's where it came from.
Yeah. There's been so many other great fights.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this, because how often do you see where the old guard, the old lion, goes down to the young and hungry? I mean, we talk about it right there with both Larry Holmes, old Larry Holmes losing to a young Mike Tyson, an old Muhammad Ali losing to a young Larry Holmes. You go back to an old Joe Louis losing to a young Rocky Marciano.
Oh, wow.
You go back to any kind of, you know what I mean? It happened where the old dog. I mean, we just saw with Pedraza and Beltran. We see it all the time where an older. I mean, I just was reading today that Oscar De La Hoya says that if he was 28 or 29, he would have knocked out Mayweather when they fought. And then you go back and say, well, what about when Julio Cesar Chavez fought you? What if he was 28 or 29? Then he would have beat you.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of something where when you look at this, the reason I bring this up is because when you look at this Canelo Triple G fight, does this feel like another case of the old guard being displaced by the new one, or does this feel like a guy's last stand?
Yeah, well, it's like passing the torch,
Exactly.
It happened. You just mentioned it, De La Hoya Chavez, of which I was a referee.
There you are.
See
that?
And Oscar De La Hoya in the first round came out there and started jabbing real. Oscar had a good hard jab. He threw a hard jab and cut Chavez over the left eye like a 3-inch.
When did that happen?
Cut.
First round?
The first round, yeah.
Oh, my.
So the blood started coming down. I said, whoa. I called time. I had the doctor look at it right away. And he said it was okay. But for the next couple of rounds, he was blinded by his own blood. I mean, he couldn't see. He was getting hit. I said, I can see where this is heading. Chavez is a puncher. I said, he can hit Oscar De La Hoya a good shot to the liver.
Oh, yeah.
Like Bernard Hopkins
did. Like Bernard Hopkins did. Good night.
Good night, sweet prince.
Yeah, that was the worst. That was the first time he ever went down.
Yeah. So
he didn't get up.
But he fought that night with Chavez, and Chavez was trying his best. And I called in the doctors about 2 or 3 occasions. And the last time I called a ringside doctor, then Dr. Flippo Mansky, that fight took place in Caesar's Palace back in 96, I believe it was. And of course, when I called the doctor the third time, the doctor said, Joe, we got to stop it.
Yeah.
And I believe we did. The reason why I kept bringing him over, because I was hoping the doctor would tell me to stop it, because, I mean, the cut was big. And I know they had a good cut in their corner, but you don't want to see somebody get hurt.
Of course
My job is to protect the fighters from taking unnecessary punishment.
It's first and foremost, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I felt, it was time. I said, doctor, maybe he'll tell me, let's stop it now, because I saw it coming. Me being the next fight, I said, I got him now. I know I got him now. And that's when I called time.
Oh, yeah.
Bring him to the doctor, because I don't want to see this guy get hurt, and because he couldn't see.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that was a real turning point in De La Hoya's career, right?
Exactly.
When he came up and really when he put that just like beating De La Hoya was a big turning point in Floyd's career.
Yeah.
Beating an old champion's that's a big deal, and that's a big, especially when it's an old. It's funny though when you look back at Oscar De La Hoya. He was so young and handsome, and I mean Olympian star. He was American, but he had the Mexican fans because he was Mexican descent. It reminds me of his new protege, and I don't just mean Canelo, who's also, of course, Mexican and handsome and all this other stuff, but Ryan Garcia. And the reason I bring him up is because he fights tonight. And, fighting another nobody whose name we'll never hear again. But, they're building a resume. This is how it works. But this is a guy who, in fight worlds, my brother talks about him all the time, which is mind-blowing to me because he's never fought anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he's a guy who's done a really good job of getting his name out there. He's got like 1 million Twitter followers. And he's, like we said, he's 19. He's got Twitter beef with other boxers.
He's a young fighter who has talent. He has a making of a champion. He's still a little rough on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you call a greenhorn, you're not quite ready.
Yeah.
But he's got a great potential.
What do you have to say about the way, not just him in the ring, because obviously he's lightning quick, but his defensive mechanics have we've covered that plenty of times. But his ability to gather such a fan base at such a young age, obviously a lot of that is the Golden Boy promotion machine. They are so good at what they do. But do you think this is saying something about the new age of boxers? I know a guy that you've personally had a lot of contact with, Devin Haney. He's now he fights in the 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
September 22nd. He's now the youngest promoter in boxing history. These young fighters are taking their careers in their own hands. They're promoting their own fights. They're promoting themselves. Do you think? I think this probably was going into a lot of these guys' mold. You go to you look at Mayweather and before him De La Hoya. Do you think this is really good for the sport? The way that these young fighters are promoting themselves.
Well, what happens is that he's one of the few that you've ever heard of becoming a promoter, and you know what? He can do it because he can back it up.
Oh yeah,
he can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yeah,
and when you can do that in any business you go into, well, he's got it because I tell you, I've been working his corner a couple of times already. And I'm sure I'll be working the next fight with him. He's got what it takes, He got the making of a champion. He's already sparred with the best in the gym, has made some of these champions that he's been sparring with.
Absolutely.
Good world champions. And he's made these guys look a little bit like, like, wow, he's outstanding. He's got what it takes.
Oh, yeah. Nothing makes me madder than when I see guys who are overwhelmingly talented, like the majority of Deontay Wilder's career, Terrence Crawford, still. These guys who have so much talent, but no one knows who they are. Their name isn't out there. Well, that's why I give so much credit to these young guys who, like I said, have fought nobody, but you know their name.
We had Lomachenko at the ESPN office a while back.
Yeah.
And he walked up the street, up to the building, everything. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
Really?
Nobody knew. And yeah, he's pound for pound, probably.
Him and Terrence Crawford, two guys you wouldn't recognize on the street.
The best fighter in the world.
That's crazy.
But, it goes to show that if you don't get that visibility, then again, it's the weight class that he's in.
That's part of it, sure.
If he would have been, he 130 pounds, he would have been a middleweight, light heavyweight. He walked down the street, everybody knows who he is,
Probably, yeah.
But he looked like a regular, regular.
He does look kind of like a regular
walking
Joe,
down the street. Walking down, nobody knows who he is, unless he has some gloves around his neck.
He's got his belts
on
his
waist and a crown on it. Oh, that's the champ. All right, champ.
Yeah, hey, what's up, champ? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you should start doing that.
It's a big Maybe
you should start wearing a belt around his waist.
Wouldn't hurt.
We're going to talk about some other champions, but you listeners out there, don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back again, fans. We are just about going to talk about the undercard on the Triple G Canelo fight. But just before we wrap it up, we were talking about some of the fights down memory lane. As you well know, that Canelo Alvarez is definitely going to go down in history down the line. He's so young. He's got a lot of talent. But prior to him, we have some other great fighters. We were talking before about Marco Antonio Barrera.
Oh, yeah.
When he fought Prince Nassim Ahmed.
Oh, yeah. Another one I was telling you I was reading this whole thing on.
And I this fighter from Great Britain, Prince Nassim Ahmed.
One of the most exciting fighters.
Yeah, very excited. Coming to the ring, kind of awkward, left-handed. He came with all kinds of different moves.
You would never teach his style in a boxing gym.
No. You don't want to teach that.
No, exactly.
But however, he was undefeated for a while there, knocking just about all his opponents out.
Strong.
And I think he was knocking them out, not because he was a strong.
He had power.
But he punches coming from different angles. When you see the punches coming, those are the ones that knock you out.
How do you train for something like that? How do you spar for something like that?
Yeah, well, it was just like when I was training Conor McGregor for Floyd Mayweather, I was training him on the rules of boxing.
Oh, yeah.
This guy was kind of like all over the ring. It reminded me a lot of Prince Nassim Ahmed.
Yeah.
So he'll move to his left, he'll move to his right. You don't know where the hell the punches are coming from. Even me as a ref in the sparring sessions with him, I had to be careful because
he might throw a kick and catch you.
Yeah, he had to go into my right, and normally the fighter moves to it this way. And I'm moving down. Well, all of a sudden, he almost clashing into me. I said, this guy's going to be so awkward in the ring against Mayweather.
Well, there's something to be said about that awkwardness. Like you said, Prince Nassim. I mean, Deontay Wilder's made a career off being awkward and powerful.
Well,
Prince Nassim was awkward and powerful.
Well, that's why they named Wilder. I mean,
that's why they named him that.
He's wild, man.
He is. The guy's crazy, man.
Now he's fighting Tyson Fury in November.
We believe November 17th. That's the way it looks right now. There's been no official press release, but
and everybody's saying, that's a credible fight. So, okay.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good fight. I mean, could get the Anthony Joshua fight going, but he's gonna take on Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is going with the, he wants to go for the big bucks because
I think it makes sense for both people because Tyson Fury, on top of being like a big name. He's banking on people forgetting that he's kind of a boring fighter. And I'm not saying that being rude. He's just not an exciting fighter. So he's fought 2 fights. If he fights another 3 before he takes on a champion, he'll lose fans, people who have kind of built him up as this boogeyman. For Deontay Wilder, he's going to be able to show that he can do pay-per-view numbers on his own. And when he walks back into that negotiating table against Eddie Hearn and the Matchroom Sports guys, he has a very different positional leverage.
Yeah, I think that Wilder's looking at him like, this is another Palooka out there.
Kinda.
I think he could be surprised because the guy can.
Tyson Fury's a good fighter.
Tyson Fury has some. I mean, He may be a little awkward, but he got some speed. And he got a decent punch,
He's fundamentally he's outstanding for a 6'9" fighter.
Yeah, exactly. But let's hope that everything works out.
I'm hoping it's exciting all the way around.
Yeah,
and whoever wins will have a great payday waiting for him with Anthony Joshua at the end.
Yeah, and we hope that is Wilder.
I hope so
because it'll be a more credible fight to bring Wilder and Joshua together.
This will be the fight we're all waiting for.
Yeah.
I want to touch on the undercards real quick. We got because the coolest thing about that Triple G Canelo fight is that you have the greatest card that we've had in a long time. Right. You have Jaime Munguia, who's an absolute up and coming superstar in the light middleweight division. He's going to be fighting a guy named Brandon Cook, whose name we haven't heard of, unlike his last 2 opponents, Liam Smith and Saddam Ali, and he was able to take care of both of them. I expect that they're going to put him on this big card and gain him a lot more fans. You have the David Lemieux versus Spike O'Sullivan, 2 guys who are always in the mix at middleweight who have been talking a lot of trash against each other. They've been doing a better job selling the fight than even Canelo and Triple G, in my opinion, because they don't need to, of course. But these guys have been talking a lot to each other. And then you have return of the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world just 2 years ago, and then he lost 2 tough battles at a weight way above his natural weight. He's back to his natural weight. Of course, talking about Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. We're finally seeing him back in the ring. So, I mean, these are 4 fights you have to watch. These are 4 fights I'd watch even if they weren't on this card. And
those fights are going to be on in theaters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, also, yeah, you can watch the Canelo Triple G fight in theaters, guys, if you don't have anywhere to go. They're showing it in, I don't remember, I think it's Regal Cinemas. For like $20 a pop, you can go in and watch that show. And it's from what I've heard, it's really fun to go see those.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fights coming up on ESPN, ESPN Plus. We're doing a lot. I'm with ESPN. I'm a boxing analyst for ESPN.
Mm-hmm. Company man.
Yeah, and I'm so proud to be involved with them.
Oh, yeah, you should be.
Because things are happening now with ESPN better than before. And I tell you, I just keep watching them. You can buy that package for $9.99.
Yeah.
And you can see all kinds of sports, not only boxing, but all sports for the month.
Oh, yeah. Kobe Bryant's show is on there. It's really cool. I also, next week, guys, tune in because we're definitely going to be talking about the Sean Porter-Danny Garcia fight. It's up for the WBC welterweight belt, and those welterweight belts are very, very precious at this point. I make sure you tune in next week we're going to be on again at 1:30. Sorry for any of our viewers and listeners that this was confusing for.
I don't think it's going to be next week. I think next week we're okay.
Oh, I heard it was 2 weeks. It doesn't. We'll let you know.
Yeah,
follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, I think the week after.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry. And, as always, we're on Monday. This time it'll be Labor Day. We're on at 1 o'clock. We'll be doing our usual show, Fair But Firm podcast. We're going to be on iTunes. We're going to be on Google Play. We're going to be on Spotify. We're going to be on YouTube. We're always on Facebook Live. That's when we first broadcast. So make sure you check us out. And as always, next week here on 720 a.m., and 101.5 FM, K-Don, the only talk show FM station in the Valley.
Okay, guys, we want to just say that it's a pleasure. I want to wish you all a happy weekend. And again, our condolences to John McCain, who did so much for boxing.
He did.
And I've been watching the services. We offer our condolences for all our viewers. I don't care what party you belong to. He was an American hero, and we're to say he did a lot for us. We'll see you next week. We'll talk to you next week. God bless you all. Have a happy Labor Day weekend. God bless, and keep your guards up at all times. I'm fair, but I'm firm.